Hello and welcome to the Thoughtful Realtor Podcast. I'm Connie Chung.
I'm Cliff Sang.
And I'm Kenny Gong.
And we are the founders and partners of Willowmar Real Estate. This is a show for those interested and invested in all things real estate. Every episode, we sit down for inside stories and conversations about what it's like to run a real estate team in California, and as we find our way as leaders and business partners. And today, we are talking about what makes a Willowmar event special.
Ooh, what makes a Willowmar event special?
Let's go down memory lane and talk about the events we've had in the past.
Most recently, we had our holiday photo shoot.
Yes, yeah, that was a great event. It was 2 weekends back to back. We hosted at a beautiful little studio in Emeryville. Was it called Clove and
Hole?
Yeah, Clove and Hole.
Our friend
Naomi. Yeah.
Shout out to Naomi. Thank you for letting us host there. And it was this really special event. I think each weekend we hosted about 20 friends, clients, and we did a photo shoot. It was optional if they wanted to do a photo shoot. Some people came to do professional headshots. Some people brought their plus ones and families along, and it was just a really, really great event. And then also we had baked goods that we gave out to folks too. So if they didn't want to do the photo shoot, then we handed out really nice pastries to folks.
And shout out to Yashi Bakes, who was one of our baking partners this year, as well as Sunday Bakehouse, who was our other
Sunday Bakehouse. Well, I think that's one essential element of a Willowmar event is always having really good food and from local makers and purveyors.
Why is good food so important to you?
I think it's our love language. One of our love languages.
Truth.
Being able to feed people. The saying growing up, "Have you eaten yet?" was, my mom's way of saying, "Oh, I love you." And I think similarly passing that on to our clients and our Willowmar family of just, "Have you eaten yet? Have a snack." And I love when I think back to our Willowmar dinners and events, our clients are always taking some food home because there's always going to be extra. Every event, you don't have enough food unless there's extra to take home.
Yeah.
There is a warm feeling inside when you're the host and you know that folks are leaving with their bellies full or eating really yummy foods and then leaving with some extra too.
When I think back to our first photo shoot ever that we did, it was actually downstairs in my home in San Francisco. And we had a makeshift.
Was that Golden Gate?
Yeah, it was at Golden Gate. Yeah. Had that makeshift backdrop from our friend and photographer, Nate, and client. Shout out to Nate Fong, who set that up. And funny, my distinct memory was actually the kitchen where we had a really lavish cheese board and charcuterie set up where people hung out while they waited for their photos to be taken.
It was just a really good time. And I love events that have programming. I don't really love events that, I don't mind them, but I don't love events that don't have some kind of interactive component to it. And sometimes like interactive component is just like eating a lot of food, but it's even better if there's some kind of other activity that's going on that gives people something to do, because I don't love going to events without having something to occupy my time, because I get pretty self-conscious. I get pretty anxious around social, especially especially around new people that I don't know. So
says Kenny, who's the most outgoing social person ever. But yes, I hear.
But I definitely get that anxiety around if the goal is just to talk to people. I don't love that.
Yeah.
Or talk to people without parameters.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like
good icebreaker. I think we usually have an icebreaker thrown in there at some point for at least our team events. Our talking about programming, one event that I love that we did was our floral arrangement workshop.
Oh yeah.
That was our team bonding event. I think as we were growing, we added some new team members and just wanted to do something really fun and creative. And also I love that we support local business owners and makers. And we had such a fun floral arrangement workshop in Temescal, where it was really fun working with wildflowers.
Yeah. Seasonal wildflowers. And also I loved it because we got to see everyone's floral arrangement really reflected their personalities, which I loved. And also some hidden talents, because Cliff, still to this day, I think your floral arrangement was one of the best ones that I've ever seen.
I'm still, well, yeah, I feel like a lot of people have, you guys have mentioned this, so I don't know if I'm being teased or not, but I feel like maybe it's a genuine, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was really beautiful. Did you
I did spend I put in a lot of effort into it, so that I do know that I tried really hard, but I don't know if the output was all that good.
I thought it was really beautiful. Like it
Thanks.
it just is fun because I love events that also give people a chance to do something that they don't normally do in everyday life, and that was something that for many of us we don't do, to have that kind of creative outlet.
Yeah. I wanted to bring up one thing about the Willowmar. I guess the Willowmar way when it comes to events is, Connie, I just talked about this, is regarding supporting local businesses.
Yep.
I feel like that is something that I, like, personally wouldn't initially think about doing when hosting events, but I've just loved that that's something that we really, really lean into. And it comes from a genuine place of thinking about how can we support these businesses that add so much to our community, and kind of give back to them in some way. And I also think there's a level of curation with our events when we host. I still remember this was at the photo shoot. We were delivering pastries to folks who couldn't make it in last month. And I remember, Kenny, you sent me a message or gave me a call, and you're like, oh, I forgot to include the little pamphlet. We had made this really nice pamphlet that shouted out the local pastry or the local bakeries, and just it was on nice cardstock. It was just a Willowmar touch of like how to enhance this experience when you open up the box.
Yeah.
Getting some background and all of that. And I remember you really sounding defeated of just like, oh, we forgot the card. And that is part of the Willowmar way, that even on the pastry delivery, we want it to be so great for our clients, and also give recognition to the folks who made the pastries too.
Yeah. And shout out to Deb for that one, for creating that little flyer. Because it's true. I mean, there's what I love about supporting local businesses is that we could tell their story. Right? Like, so much of what we do in real estate is about telling stories and being part of communities. You know, I really see real estate agents as community stewards. How are we part of community? How are we taking care of our communities? And how are we really supporting our neighbors? And just in the way that real estate agents are so embedded in our communities, vendors, entrepreneurs, all of these amazing people that have small businesses are also just so integral to the wonderful communities that we have. And I love being able to support them. And I love that we get to do that as part of our job.
Yeah. So many of our clients come to us through word of mouth, which is really incredible and fun to see. And I think that's how we find a lot of our partners that we collaborate with, because I think of our floral workshop. We asked one of our clients and good friends who's a floral designer, Sammy, if you're listening, hello. But he actually connected us to Veronica at Orange Moon Floral.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So much of it is just relationships and referrals. Let's talk about how we tangibly go about planning events. How do we start? Where do we start?
I think the first thing we do is think about a location. Just like in real estate, it's all about the location, and it being accessible and very easy to get to, welcoming, it's gonna hold the space for folks that we're looking to bring together.
Yeah, I think so too. And I always love thinking about, when choosing a location, what is the purpose of the event? Like, what's the driving purpose of what we're trying to do? Are we just trying to bring people together? Are we trying to celebrate something? Are we trying to create an experience for people? Sometimes events do a lot of these things. Sometimes it's very, very purposeful, and sometimes it's only one of those things. But I love choosing the location based on something that feels deeper. What's the deeper meaning behind why we're gathering? I'm always very, very inspired by this book called The Art of Gathering by Priya Parker. And it just talks about, how do you bring people together intentionally and with real purpose and real intent, and do so in a way that feels like that there's a real motivation, that there's a real commitment to understanding, why are you actually bringing people together? And I always love having that then lead into and inform how we make every other decision that goes into the planning process.
Yeah. That makes me think of our Willowmar launch. When we launched Willowmar, and having that be a celebration itself, to have a gathering to bring folks to launch this new chapter of our business in the Bay as Willowmar Real Estate. And gosh, Rose's Tap Room was such a great venue to host that celebration,
really was,
because it has this intimate yet open and warm feel. The design and decor is so fun. If people haven't been to Rose's, it's such a great spot to have a glass of wine, a really great cider or beer, and the noshing that you can do there. I still remember the bread and the chunks of butter that they laid out for everyone.
Oh, yeah. So say we've got our location. What's our next step when we plan out events?
I think it usually then comes down to think about the menu.
The food.
And going back to the food and going back to the drinks and making sure that that's in line with what the vibe that we want to create.
Yep.
And making sure it's a top-notch experience for folks.
Yeah. And for everyone, I think we are very thoughtful, even with the food, to make sure that there are options for everyone coming. So we'll have vegetarian, hopefully some vegan, and even some gluten-free options, which I think makes it just so that everyone can enjoy a little bit of something when they come, and that it's not an afterthought or a side thing, but it's something that feels super hearty and wholesome too.
Mm-hmm.
Cliff, do you want to mention our last tasting yesterday?
Oh, yeah. I didn't know when we wanted to drop the mic, drop it to the audience.
What did we eat yesterday, Cliff?
Well, yesterday we had
What did we eat?
We did a pretty fabulous tasting menu at True Food Kitchen in Pasadena. Sneak peek, we might be going back there in a couple weeks. But no, this was in anticipation of our launch event for LA. That's coming up Thursday, February 16th, 5 to 7 p.m. If you're in the area, would love for any and all, come one, come all to True Food Kitchen for our Willowmar LA launch. But we did a tasting menu there yesterday, and it was a really, really good spread. But for me, one of the takeaways, well, a couple, was one, the level of curation of just, like, I think there's a level of thinking about how substantial the food is. Is there a variety of, hey, this is easier to pick at, or kind of grab less substantial to, hey, will people feel this is a hearty meal at the end, and balancing it from different tastes and also adding a couple desserts at the end. And then there's also a moment there where we were trying to think about the fourth item to add, and we had found one that was pretty good, I think, and Kenny looked at us and we're like, are we good with just it being pretty good or good enough? And again, I think it was a simple question that really answers the question that we started this podcast with, of like, what makes a Willowmar event special? And it comes down to that level of curation. And we all looked at each other and went, no, we're not okay with it just being okay, good enough. Let's taste some more items and figure out, how do we make sure that this is just a great event for everyone?
We tasted many things for you all.
On behalf of you, we struggled.
It really did. I was stuffed. I was so full. So full, and yet still had to be like, we're so full, but can we try another?
We had a nice to-go bag, too.
Yeah, the trials and tribulations of our job.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, life's hard.
In addition to taking home some food and leftovers, we also love to have a little takeaway for folks as a memento, but also something fun and practical and beautiful to take home and remember the event. So
Willowmar swag.
Yeah, good old Willowmar swag. An event is not complete without some swag. We've had some handmade soaps put together for folks to take. And I would say a lot of our products tend to be very all natural, good quality products. We also have done some room sprays, very fitting for Willowmar Real Estate, to have some fun scents. This upcoming launch event, we're going to have those room sprays, and I'm really excited for some of the scents that we've put together. Our events are a way of seeing Willowmar, the team, in action in all facets. So whenever we have an event, we want it to be just put together in all aspects. And so Erin, for example, puts together some really incredible FAQs that lists all the details. If anyone were to have a question of, hey, where do I even park? Or can I bring my dog?
Yeah.
It's all answered in there.
Yeah. Yeah. The pet policy will be in the FAQs.
Yeah. It comes down to the details. And you're right. It's showing our team in action. It reminds me of this thing. I remember I came home from a restaurant once and I brought home the baked potato as a to-go item. And I remember my dad looked at it and he said, I know that you went to a really, really nice restaurant. And I still remember that to this day, because in other words, what he was saying is like how you do anything, even down to the baked potato and the quality of the baked potato, which is a to-go item,
Yeah.
you can tell that the restaurant was high quality. And I think that's kind of like the FAQ, a little bit of just like, maybe not everyone's looking at it, but for those who look at it, every question is answered. And even down to that detail, we're caring about the FAQ.
Yeah. And it really is the way that we do events, from the choice of location to the choice of food to the FAQs to the swag, all of it feels very important to think about, because it feels like a reflection of Willowmar. That is a direct application of the ethos of Willowmar, which is that we care for people in a way that feels detail oriented, and in a way that always thinks about how are we making people feel cared for, feel supported. We pay so much attention to the way that we serve clients. And we also now, because we have a team, we're able to then extend that level of detail to everything else that we do as a business. And I think that is really, really special. It's like I feel part of this Willowmar universe that is so far beyond me, so far beyond any of us as individuals.
Oh, I feel the same way. I think so much of it is thinking as a creator, but also learning. I'm learning as I'm part of Willowmar and our team. I learn from everyone every day. And for example, in planning our event, I love that Aaron asked, are there stairs? And that got me thinking, wow, to be so thoughtful and to think about accessibility in so many different ways. It's so comforting knowing that there's something to learn and grow from each time.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. What I've always loved about our events is that our events feel bespoke and customized and curated, right? And it's just, it comes out from a party, right? It's not just a party. It's so much more.
I love our brainstorming sessions and planning for the events. Those are really fun too. It's kind of, when you mentioned bespoke, that's the first thing that came to mind. Of it is us just chatting about it and kind of spitballing ideas, and you just see this evolve from a fledgling little idea to being like, ooh, wow, this is really exciting. This is really fun, thinking about all these different angles. And then everyone contributes their little piece to the puzzle, and it ends up being a nice puzzle.
Yeah.
It's so fun and so natural. I think as natural hosts, we love bringing people together, caring for people in this way. It's another way of extending our thought for others and having a good time and being in the moment together, especially in today's age where the art of gathering and just gathering in general is so sacred because it doesn't always happen. There you have it, another episode of The Thoughtful Realtor. We'd love to hear, have you been to a Willowmar event? And what was your favorite part? What did you take away?
What is your favorite Willowmar scent?
Ooh, yeah.
Let us know. You can find us on Instagram at Willowmar __. Leave us a comment, leave us a review. We read them all. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. And if you know anyone who would love to hear this, feel free to share. And until next time, bye.
Bye-bye.